Hi, everyone. This is Michael with PianoWithMichael.com. I want to thank you for stopping by. Today, I am going to teach you how to play the easy version of Piano Sonata Number 11 by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, please, if you like these videos, please subscribe. Please like this video. Please share it. And then also click on that notification bell to get notified when I put up a new video. And then again, you can visit my website, PianoWithMichael.com, to kind of learn about music, learn my philosophy about music, and why it's so important to in developing a lot of different areas of the brain. So let's go back to the Piano Sonata Number 11, Movement 1 by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in A major. Okay, so again, like I said, when I first started to learning these pieces, what I'd like to do is practice with my right hand, my left hand, and then bring it in together. Now, the first thing I like to do when I look at a piece is look at the key signature. This one is an A major, which means that we've got the F, or the sharps in the F, C, and G. So all the Fs and all the Cs and all the Gs will be played with a sharp. Now, sometimes in music, in a key signature, the composer will want the notes reverted back to a particular natural key, or maybe a sharp or a flat, and those are called accidentals. And if you go to pianowithmichael.com and find and search for lessons with Miko, I have a whole series of videos that break down the key signatures and the accidentals, flats and sharps. So anyway, the second part that I look at is the timing. So in this particular arrangement, I've made it and put it into 3/4. So the 3 means that there's 3 beats per measure, okay? And the bottom number 4 just means that the quarter note gets the beat. So each measure we're going to kind of count off as 1 and 2 and 3 and, okay? So Piano Sonata Number 11, Movement 1. Now I've made these so that I've broken them down in each measure and indicated it with an M1, M2, M3, and M4. Traditionally, the sheet music will actually continue on and have it through all the different measures, but for my process of really breaking it down and being able to refer to it real quickly, I've basically made it so that it's line 1, measure 2, measure 3, etc., line 2, line 3, and line 4, so that we can just kind of jump back and forth from different positions, and you know exactly where I'm at when I talk about it. So let's go to line 1, measure 1, and we'll start off with the right hand and just play it until we get comfortable with it. Again, this is an A major, so we've got C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So we're going to start off with the third finger on C sharp. It's a dotted quarter note, which means that it gets a beat and a half. So 1 and 2. So third finger on C sharp, 1 and 2. Okay, and then the fourth finger is on D for an eighth note. And then the third finger, back to the third finger on C sharp. Okay, so line 1, measure 1, we've got third finger, quarter note, a dotted quarter note, C sharp, D, C sharp. Okay, so line 1, measure 2, we've got our fifth finger on E as a whole note, or excuse me, half note. So fifth finger on E, 1 and 2 and then we hit the E again with the fifth finger and count off the last beat, 3 and. Okay, so line 1, measure 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so line 1, measure 3, we've got our second finger on B, which is a dotted quarter note. So 1 and 2. Okay, and then our third finger goes to C sharp for an eighth note. Okay, and then back down to B with our second finger. Okay, so then line 1, measure 4, we've got our fourth finger on a half note on D. 1 and 2 and then we finish that off with a quarter note D. Okay, so let's go back to line 1, measure 1, and we'll play it nice and slow. Third finger on C sharp, C sharp, D, C sharp, E, E, B, C sharp, B, D, D. Okay, so now I'm going to count it off. Line 1, measure 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to play it kind of at relatively normal speed. So third finger, C sharp, line 1, measure 1. Okay, got that down. And again, if I'm learning this piece new, I'd play that over and over until I got comfortable with it. And now let's play the left hand on line 1. So line 1, measure 1. Left hand, we've got the third finger on A, and that's a dotted half note, so that's going to be 3 beats. So third finger on A, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay. Oh, sorry. Played a little octave low there, so let's go back and actually try that again. So third finger on A for a dotted half note. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so line 1, measure 2, left hand. We've got our thumb on C sharp for another dotted half note. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, now we've got our line 1, measure 3. We've got our fourth finger on G sharp for another dotted half note. 1 and 2 and 3 and then line 1, measure 4, we've got B with our second finger. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's go back to line 1, measure 1 with the left hand. We'll play it nice and slow. So third finger on A, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so the left hand on this piece is nice and simple, which makes it a little bit easier to learn. Okay, so now let's do both hands nice and slowly, and we'll go line 1, measure 1. So we get ready. Third finger right hand on C sharp, third finger left hand on A. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's try that again. This time I'm just going to play it at normal speed. Nice, and I would say, I don't know if melancholy is the right word for it, but definitely tugs at the heart. So let's try that again. Line 1, measure 1, both hands. And again, if I was just starting this out, I would just play it over and over until I got comfortable. So C sharp, third finger, A, left third finger. Okay, there we go. To measure 1, right hand, we've got our thumb on A for a half note. So 1 and 2 and then another A, 1 and, excuse me, 3 and. So let's go back to line 2, measure 1. A thumb on A, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, line 2, measure 2, our second finger on B for a half note. So 1 and 2 and then B again for a quarter note for 3 and. 3 and. And then line 2, measure 3, we've got our third finger on C sharp for a half note. So that's 1 and 2 and. And then we've got 2/8 notes, E with our pinky, fifth finger, and then the D with our fourth finger. So line 2, measure 3, we've got 1 and 2 and, excuse me, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's try that again. Line 2, measure 3, C sharp with the third finger, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so line 2, measure 4, we've got our third finger, middle finger on C sharp for our half note, 1 and 2 and then our second finger on B for 3 and. Okay, so line 2, measure 4, we've got C sharp, 1 and 2 and then B, 1, 3 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's go back to line 2, measure 1 and just do it again. Thumb on A, half note, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so go ahead and practice that over and over until you get comfortable with it. Okay, so line 2, measure 1 with the left hand. And again, we've got the dotted half notes, and this one is going to be line 2, measure 1 starts off with the F sharp with the pinky. So 1 and 2 and 3 and then the line 2, measure 2, we've got the G sharp with the fourth finger, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, and then line 2, measure 3, we've got the half note A with the third finger, 1 and 2 and then we jump up. This is kind of an awkward jump here. And these are just recommendations for fingering. You can kind of put whatever you'd like in there that feels comfortable for you. So let's jump up to D, quarter note with the second finger. Count it off as 3 and. Okay, so let's try that again. Line 2, measure 3. Third finger on A, half note. 1 and 2 and. Jump to D with the second finger. 3 and. Okay, and then line 2, measure 4, we finish that off with a dotted half note with our thumb on E. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's go back. Line 1, measure 1, fifth finger on F sharp, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So line 2, measure 2, we've got fourth finger on G sharp, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Line 2, measure 3, we've got A, 1 and 2 and second finger, we jump up on the D, 1, 3 and then thumb on E, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So let's do that again at normal speed. Line 2, measure 1, F sharp, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So I kind of messed up there, but So let's do it with both hands. Line 2, measure 1. We'll play it nice and slow. Thumb on A, right hand, and then left hand, pinky on F sharp. So 1 and 2 and excuse me. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's do that again. Okay, and again, I'd play it over and over. Let's play it at a relatively normal speed. Okay, and again, once I learn a line, I like to go back and kind of play it through to where I've learned. So let's go back to line 1, measure 1, and play all the way to the end of line 2. Okay, so line 1, measure 1, third finger right hand on C sharp, third finger on A, left hand. Nice. Okay, so line 3, measure 1. We've got the third finger on C sharp for a dotted quarter note. So C sharp. Then we've got our fourth finger on D, and then back to C sharp. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3. And, oops, excuse me. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, let's try that again since I messed up. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so line 3, measure 2, we've got our pinky on E for a whole note or a half note. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and. So line 3, measure 3, we've got our right hand second finger on B for a dotted quarter note. So we'll count that off as 1 and 2, and then we've got our third finger on C sharp, and then back down to B again. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so line 3, measure 4, we've got our fourth finger on D for a half note. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's try that again. I'll count it off nice and slowly. Line 3, measure 1, C sharp, third finger. 1 and 2 and 3. Oops. 1 and 2. Let's start that over again. So line 3, measure 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so I'm going to play it now relatively at normal speed. Okay, so let's do the left hand, and again, nice and easy with the dotted whole half notes. Third finger on A, so 1 and 2 and 3 and. Line 3, measure 2, we've got our thumb on C sharp, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Line 3, measure 3, we've got our fourth finger on G sharp, 1 and 2 and 3 and. And then line 3, measure 4, we've got our second finger on B. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So line 3, measure 1, left hand, we've got A, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Line 3, measure 2, we've got our thumb on C sharp, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Line 3, measure 3, fourth finger on G sharp, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Line 3, measure 4, second finger on B. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so now let's do it together with the right and left hands together. So let's see. Third finger on C sharp with the right hand, third finger on A with the left hand. So 1 and 2 and 1, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's do that at relatively normal speed. Line 3, measure 1. Okay, so now let's go back to line 1, measure 1, and play all the way to the end of line 3. And we'll play this at normal speed. And the great thing about YouTube, you can go back and forth, pause it, and kind of repeat it. It's just the new generation of learning. And like I said before, you'll find out that I'm pretty much self-taught. Took a couple months of lessons when I was younger, quit. And it wasn't until the last several years I decided to play on a regular basis. So the internet and the sharing of videos makes it so much easier to learn from a lot of different perspectives. And so hopefully you get a lot from these videos. There's also a lot of different programs that you can learn. I wanted to kind of provide my perspective on how I learn, but also how I play and how I learn each piece. So line 1, measure 1, we'll play through the end of line 3. So third finger, C sharp on the right hand, and A. So I'm just going to play it at normal speed. Okay, so I kind of messed up there on line 2, measure 4, but so I'm going to try that again. So line 1, measure 1. Okay. So now let's go to line 4, measure 1. With the right hand, thumb is on A. 1 and 2 and. Next note is B with the second finger. 3 and. Okay, so line 4, measure 2, we've got third finger on C sharp. 1 and 2 and. Fourth finger on D. 3 and. Okay, so line 4, measure 3, we've got our third finger on C sharp, 1 and 2 and then our second finger on B, 3 and then the last note is an A, which we will play with our thumb for 3 beats. So a dotted half note, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So let's play that again. Line 4, measure 1, right hand, thumb on A. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Excuse me. Okay, so line 4, measure 1 with the left hand. We're going to have our pinky on F sharp. So for 2 beats, so 1 and 2 and then we're going to jump up to G sharp with our fourth finger for quarter note. So 3 and. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, and then our line 4, measure 2, we've got our third finger on A. So 1 and 2 and. Second finger on B. 3 and. Okay, and then we're going to jump up with our thumb on E for line 4, measure 3. 1 and 2 and then we jump down with our pinky on E 1, 3, and then we finish it off, line 4, measure 4, with our second finger on A. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. So let's go back, left hand, pinky on F sharp. So line 4, measure 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's try that with both hands. Line 4, measure 1, thumb on A, left hand on F sharp, pinky. So. Okay, so let's try that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So let's try that again. I kind of went too slow there, or went very slowly there. So line 4, measure 1 at relatively normal speed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's do that again. Line 4, measure 1. We'll play it nice and slowly, or excuse me, at normal speed. Okay, so let's do it nice and slowly from the beginning, line 1, measure 1, all the way to the end. So measure 1, you've got. Okay. So I am going to play this piece in its entirety at normal speed. So Piano Sonata number 11, Movement 1 in A major by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Okay, beautiful piece. I would recommend you going to the website. I'll have a professional version of this that will have someone playing the entire movement, the entire sonata. And again, this is just kind of a great way to get introduced to Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's music. It's a beautiful sonata piece by, or at least the movement, movement 1, and extraordinary fact about Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is that he only lived for 35 years, and he wrote over 600 pieces. And we're talking symphonies, we're talking, orchestral works, we're talking piano concertos, we're talking just a whole medley of amazingly complex music that it's not these 2 to 3 minute pieces, but they're extraordinarily long pieces, and so there's a lot of drama works. It's just absolutely amazing what he's done in little than 35 years, and kind of some trivia that I do in one of my presentations, Night of Music, is I talk about the fact that in one of Mozart's prolific years of writing music, he wrote more music than the Beatles ever did in their entire career of performing. And it's just a testament to the genius and I would say kind of the divine touch of Mozart. And so I hope not just learning these pieces that I'm teaching you, more so, hopefully, I'll inspire you to maybe look into the life of Mozart, look into his music, and kind of get a deeper more appreciative look and listen to what I would consider as one of the most amazing um, musicians, composers, and artists that humanity's ever known. And it's just wonderful in our times where we can actually, hear it's played on YouTube by so many amazing artists and performers. And so we live in extraordinary times, and I just hope that I can inspire some of you to not just learn the music, but also maybe learn about Mozart. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Go to click on the notification bell, and go to my website, PianoWithMichael.com. And I've got a lot of different content on there to not just teach music, but to maybe inspire you on why you want to learn music and why you want to spend maybe 20 to 30 minutes a night exercising the left and right hands to stimulate both the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it helpful. Visit our website for content, tips, and products. And as always, practice, but make sure it's fun.